There are some things in life that I just don't understand. Quantum entanglement is one, why anyone would like the taste of baked beans is another, but most of all, the one thing that I really don't understand is why anyone would enjoy being scared.
You see it all the time, horror junkies injecting their bulging eyeballs full of gore, shocks, and God only knows what that thing is. And for some reason they love it.
I couldn't sleep for a week. It was amazing. I kept having this waking nightmare where this demon baby with arms for legs and legs for arms was crawling up my chest. It was awesome.
I just find myself curling up into the fetal position and weeping from terror. I'd recommend it to anyone.
So, naturally, this week had to be the most terrifying horror games on PlayStation, and even more naturally, it's going to be Dave that's playing them, because I know how much he likes a good scare.
We'll ease him in gently with a bit of Outlast on PS4, a horrible game about a journalist sent to investigate some dodgy goings-on at a mental asylum. So far, so horror 101. Then this fat, lipless fruitcake starts ambling after you, and the weird, creepy ghost thing, and a couple of charming fellows with their dangly bits on display, and it all gets even more enjoyable.
Then, in the Whistleblower DLC, there's a nice bit of male genital maiming courtesy of the Groom, Dave's favourite character. Dave, you're missing it. Look, he's cutting off that man's willy.
Outlast is the most horrifying game currently on PS4, mixing the odd jump shock with an overbearing atmosphere that's like a persistent heavy drilling sensation underneath your skull. Great stuff.
This keyring is 16 years old. It looks rubbish now, and I'm sure if you put it in a room with loads of other keyrings, you'd more than likely pick up one of the shiny ones and then come over to this keyring and gloat and say, "Ugh, look at that rubbish keyring with its rust and its LED that's not even there anymore because it's so old. Ugh." But look, it still holds my keys like it was 1998.
Resident Evil 2 is a lot like my keyring. Sorry about that, the keyring was all I could find. In that it looks about as appealing as a wrinkly jowl, but still does its job really, really well. Which in this case is to scare the bejesus out of anyone who plays it. If anything, the creaky PS1 era design adds to the terror. Fixed camera angles, slow character movement, loading screens every time you open a door just so you have to wait a little bit longer to see what's lurking behind. This really is survival horror at its most pure, and that bit with the bloody liquor things. Poor Dave hated it.
So if you took Resident Evil 2 and stuck it in a time machine and popped it out 10 years later, but replaced the zombies with space mutants and the shotgun with a plasma cutter, what would you get? I ruined it by saying plasma cutter, haven't I?
Dead Space. Forget the two sequels that, while still awesome, felt like they were grasping for action shooter status, because the original is a heavy metallic trudge through one of the most hostile gaming environments ever. It's tight, it's dark, it's slow, and it's perfectly balanced, providing you just enough firepower to make you think you're okay, while pitting you against an army of necromorphs that at all times remind you how you're not.
You're never okay in Dead Space. I'll put my hands up right now and say I never finished it because I am too much of a wimp. My Isaac Clarke is still standing next to one of those suit upgrade machines right at the very beginning of the game after his first encounter with the necromorphs.
Anyone want a Let's Play series of this?
My first encounter with our next title came when I was playing Metal Gear Solid and I opened up the CD case to find a demo of another Konami title tucked away inside. Silent Hill, the label said. "Oh, that sounds nice," thought 11-year-old me, and I put the disc into the machine.
We'll skip the ensuing childhood trauma and jump straight into sequel Silent Hill 2, often and rightly regarded as one of the finest horror games ever made. While it looks and handles fairly similar to Resi, Silent Hill 2 is less about thrusting zombies at your jump reflex and more about creeping up in the fog and sliding a horrible, slithering monstrosity under your skin. which stays there and wriggles around until eating its way up your arm and into your brain, where it pukes up horrible images of a man with a pyramid for a head doing unspeakable things to writhing nurse demons, while you hide in a cupboard and watch, you awful, horrible, dirty person, you.
It's psychological horror at its finest, although thankfully it hasn't had any lasting effect on me.
A silver lining to pretty much all the games featured in our lineup so far is that you can, eventually, kill all the monstrosities that inhabit them, but our next game features enemies that just keep getting back up.
Which is scary enough in itself, but then when you actually look at the Shibito from Siren Blood Curse...
Yes, horrible smiles, jerky limbs, blood coming from places it shouldn't.
And then listen to their horrible voices. It quickly becomes apparent that you're dealing with the ultimate cocktail of terrifying villainy.
To make matters worse, fighting the Shibito isn't really an option. You've got to skulk past and hope they don't notice you. Otherwise it's run, run, scream, scream, kill, kill, cry, cry. Those last two from Dave, obviously.
Can I just play FIFA now?
No.
Please.
I'll tell you what though, you can play Alien Isolation if you want.
Now I know this is cheating a little bit because Alien Isolation isn't out yet, but we have played it quite a bit, and in that short time the game has seared itself into my memory banks, like the time Nathan couldn't be bothered to change out of his cycling shorts for an entire day.
Yeah, Rob, you got that script?
In fact, it's worse than that. Nathan Shorts don't hunt you down and smother you when you least expect it, which is exactly what the alien does in Alien Isolation.
This alien is bloody horrible, just like the one in the original film. You can't kill it, all you can do is hide. The music ramps up when it gets close. All you've got is a motion detector. It's dark, it's horrible, it's tense as all hell.
In fact, it's so awful, in a brilliant way, mind you, that when I played it at E3, I only lasted 20 minutes before I just stood up and ran headfirst into the flipping thing because I just couldn't take it anymore. And that comes from a man who was brave enough to get past the first corridor in Dead Space, so heed my warning.
And then play The Last of Us as if you needed an excuse. The fact it's more terrifying than doing a maths exam with no clothes on, a recurring nightmare of mine, is often overlooked, with everyone instead going on about the brilliant characters, visuals and script. But don't forget those clickers, who are right up there with the Shibito, the Necromorph, the alien Nathan Shorts, for most terrifying enemy on PlayStation. Their genius lies in the fact they can only detect you via sound, which puts you in situations no other game can. Often you'll be standing in the path of a clicker and be unable to work out whether it knows you're there or not, which creates an unbelievable amount of tension, especially when coupled with the deliberately slow combat and the fact that one bite equals bye-bye Joel.
I don't remember any of this from The Last of Us.
I know, but it's okay because there's just one more game now. It's not even a game, really. It's just a little tiny thing, a little slice of what will be a playable teaser for a game that's coming out sometime in the future. Here you go. Have a little play of that.
For crying out loud, there's so much going on here I don't even know where to start. How about the horrible ghost girl on the banisters, the disgusting fetus thing in the sink, the fact you never ever know what's coming, even if you've played it before, thanks to PT looping you through the same haunted corridor again and again. And then there's the bit where this lovely lady turns up. If PT is anything like Silent Hills, then Hideo Kojima and Guillermo del Toro will have created possibly the most horrific piece of interactive entertainment I've ever experienced. And I really cannot wait. Neither can Dave.
I hope you've enjoyed your journey through PlayStation's Horrorscape. Don't forget to subscribe if you have. Let us know in the comments what your favourite scary games are. And don't forget to join us next week for more PlayStation ramblings.